Good morning, and thank you for joining us today for National Forklift Safety Day, the preeminent safety event for the UK material handling industry, now managed by the UK Material Handling Association. The purpose of today's event is to highlight the importance of correct safety procedures in the workplace. We've prepared a series of fact sheets to accompany today's event, and you can download these from the National Forklift Safety Day website. In addition to the fact sheets, we have also included a copy of the Safe Working Area Charter, launched at last year's National Safety Convention, which outlines the safety requirements for engineers visiting customer workplaces. There is also a specifically designed interactive PDF identifying 15 common hazards you'll find in the workplace. Perhaps have a competition within your business to see if you can spot all the hazards, although please wait until after today's event. We wouldn't want you missing out on the content we have planned for you today. Completing the media kit is an automated checklist which will help you benchmark your safety procedures and covers issues such as training, maintenance, operations and supervision. All of these help to reinforce the message behind this year's campaign: safe sites, save lives. Focusing on today for a moment, I will shortly hand you over to Tim Waples, Chief Executive of UKMHA. He will outline the role of the association and how it helps to promote higher safety standards across the sector, helping to keep employees safe and businesses compliant with current regulations. As well as a series of videos for you to watch, we will also hear from Cameron Burnett, Director at UKMHA, introducing some of the highlights of the Safe User Group. The UKMHA's Technical Director and Architect behind National Forklift Safety Day in the UK is David Goss. He will go through the specifics of this year's campaign. The highlight of today's presentation is a panel discussion featuring experts from the safety and training spheres of the UK material handling sector, who will be debating some of the points we have presented. So please stay with us for that. For now, thank you again for joining us today, and I will hand you over to Tim for the next part of today's presentation.
Thank you, Clarissa. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tim Waples, and I am Chief Executive of the UK Material Handling Association. As you will all be aware, forklift trucks, together with other material handling equipment, play a vital role in helping to keep the UK economy moving. The safe movement of goods is so important to so many sectors: warehousing, logistics, retail fulfilment, manufacturing. The list is almost endless. The UK Material Handling Association seeks to enhance the prosperity, raise the profile and lift industry standards for all stakeholders of the UK material handling industry. It does this using effective market intelligence, lobbying, benchmarking and attracting the best talent. We provide market-driven services including audit and advisory on best practice, legislation, safety and training, all delivered by highly engaged people focused on helping you succeed. We also promote the industry at the highest level, stressing its value to the UK economy, whilst ensuring that the highest standards of service and safety are maintained at all times. And the more ambassadors we can convert to our cause, the better for the industry, which is why it is so good to see so many of you joining us today. In addition to making your business safer, more efficient and fully compliant with the latest legislation, we also provide regular updates on the latest industry-related health and safety information, issue guidance notes to ensure you remain fully compliant, provide access to a unique network of material handling professionals and tailor membership packages to suit your needs. Despite leaving the EU, we keep members fully briefed on the latest developments affecting the European material handling industry through our regular engagement with a host of international technical bodies. We alert members to the requirements and consequences of new standards, distilling the key points and how they affect you. We also issue updated guidance where necessary. You will see later in the presentation the significance of this as we talk more about this year's National Forklift Safety Day. Accurate market intelligence, delivered at regular intervals during the year, enable you to plan future campaigns with confidence. You can also judge the effectiveness of these campaigns with exclusive access to UK sales data. As co-owner of IMHX, the largest trade show in the UK for professionals working within the logistics, supply chain and materials handling industries, UKMHA members benefit from preferential exhibition rates. This means they can showcase their goods and services to a focused audience of decision makers and buyers. Stronger input from manufacturers together with health and safety bodies helps us campaign for improved equipment standards, better training provision for all industrial truck users and a further rollout of apprentice programs. The association adheres to a robust code of practice which will in turn increase confidence levels amongst all end users of material handling equipment. Thank you for your attention. I will now hand over to Cameron Burnett, who will introduce you to our Safe User Group.
The UK Material Handling Association is the new voice of the UK material handling sector. Founded by the merger of the British Industrial Truck Association and the Forklift Truck Association, together with co-owned subsidiary Consolidated Fork Truck Services. The new association promotes all aspects of the UK material handling industry, representing the interests of fork truck manufacturers, suppliers, dealers and end users. The UKMHA prides itself on delivering an outstanding service to members, helping them improve business opportunities through effective networking, insightful market intelligence and benchmarking best practice. Benefits of membership include exclusive access to UK material handling equipment sales data, a benchmarking tool to assess performance, plus exclusive macroeconomic forecasting reports prepared by leading analysts, full guidance on safety and compliance issues, and consultation on proposed legislation, plus the chance to shape future regulations. The association ensures the needs of UK material handling are recognised at the highest level through regular engagement with international policymakers, representation on UK and EU standards committees, and through its own technical policy committee. With a strong focus on lifting technical and safety standards across the sector, the association spearheads leading safety campaigns, such as National Forklift Safety Day and the National Safety Convention to promote best practice. UKMHA members benefit from free guidance notes, invitations to special events, expert guidance, free helplines, security alerts, audits, and much more. For more information on these benefits and more, including the Safe User Group, CFTS and thorough examination, IMHX member benefits and events, please visit ukmha.org.uk. UKMHA, setting the benchmark for site safety.
This year's safety strapline, Safe Sites Save Lives, supports everyone who works in a busy environment, where moving equipment and working practices can be hazardous if they're not in line with best health and safety practice. My name is Cameron Burnett, and I'd like to give you an insight into how the association can help you improve safety on your site. The UKMHA Safe User Group is committed to providing valuable information and guidance to end users of material handling equipment. Safe User Group members are able to access a vast array of resources, including tips, real-life examples, which can be used as benchmarks to transform your site. These include safety-related guidance notes and health and safety bulletins, specially written in no-nonsense language to minimise the risk of workplace accidents, making your site a safer place to be, all backed up with a free expert helpline. Topics such as pedestrian segregation, effective management and maintenance of material handling equipment, and the importance of training are all discussed in detail to help improve the safety of your site. Examples of recent topics include engine cooling systems and the resulting accidents when hot coolant escapes, scalding the inspector. Another topical issue lies with battery applications. These important safety points have been covered extensively in our safety alerts and guidance notes. Safe User Group members can also access Safer Site Pro, a 26-step guide allowing you to benchmark your site's safety against best practice. The association's responsibilities don't end there. We want to help end users of such equipment to work in safety by ensuring their machines are fully compliant and that operators are fully trained in the correct use of the equipment. Take a look at this short video for more information on the work done by the UKMHA and the role of the Safe User Group.
The Safe User Group is one of the most important aspects of UKMHA membership. It is a comprehensive resource providing a wealth of safety-related guidance, helplines and tools, all specially created to support end users of forklift trucks and material handling equipment improve their safety protocols. What does it do? It offers expert advice in no-nonsense language to minimise the risk of workplace accidents, which, as we all know, can have devastating consequences for both employees and the employer. Membership benefits offer a full range of support services, enabling you to enjoy the safe use of material handling equipment. You'll also benefit from access to an exclusive members area, which entitles you to discounts on a wide range of services, plus access to a wealth of archive material and a comprehensive online safety resource library. In addition, there's Safer Site Pro, a 26-step program offering advice, guidance and practical tasks, a biannual health and safety newsletter, downloadable safety videos and technical bulletins. You'll also receive a 20% reduction on tickets for our National Safety Convention, plus a whole lot more. Cost for membership is only £299 per annum, a small price to pay for peace of mind. Join the UKMHA's Safe User Group today. For more details on how to do this, visit our website ukmha.org.uk/safeusergroup.
Hello, my name is David Goss and I'm the Technical Director of the UK Material Handling Association. One of the association's primary means of promoting higher safety standards across the material handling sector is National Forklift Safety Day, one of the preeminent safety events in the UK material handling calendar, alongside the association's National Safety Convention, which takes place in the autumn. I know that a lot of you will be familiar with National Forklift Safety Day, but for those of you who aren't, let me outline a little more about the event. National Forklift Safety Day was first held in the UK in 2019, 6 years after the original campaign's launch by the Industrial Truck Association in the United States. Each year, the campaign focuses attention on an important safety message aimed at raising awareness of the safe use of forklift trucks and the environments in which they operate. Down the years, the campaigns have successfully raised awareness of the importance of benchmarking safety procedures in the material handling industry. During the 5 years in which the campaign has been running in the UK, we have been focusing attention on key safety themes, including the importance of forklift operators wearing seat belts and the responsibility of supervisors to ensure compliance with this, the safe segregation of pedestrians from moving material handling equipment, ensuring forklift trucks are compliant with thorough examination requirements, and the proper importance of operator training and supervision for anyone using material handling equipment. The ethos behind these campaigns is the driving force for this year's safety campaign: Safe Sites, Save Lives. For this campaign, we have chosen to highlight some of the hazards that can occur in the workplace, the risks they pose, and how they can be avoided. In doing so, the campaign touches on aspects from many of our previous campaigns, helping us reinforce these important messages and uphold the traditions of National Forklift Safety Day. This short video will give you a flavour of this year's campaign, and I urge you to watch.
National Forklift Safety Day is the annual safety campaign for the UK material handling and logistics sectors. Managed by the UK Material Handling Association, the campaign is designed to improve the safety of workplaces and their personnel by promoting the safe use of forklifts and other material handling equipment. The theme for 2023 is emphasised by the slogan, "Safe sites, save lives." The campaign highlights the importance of correct safety procedures in the workplace, including thorough risk assessments, site supervision, operator training, and driver safety. To curb the number of workplace accidents involving vehicles and pedestrians, the UK Material Handling Association's Safe User Group is providing guidance on worksite assessment and good operational practices. The Safe User Group is a vital resource provided by the UK Material Handling Association and will help ensure members maintain the goals of National Forklift Safety Day by consistently enabling them to benchmark best practice. The group offers a wealth of safety-related guidance, helplines, and tools created to support end users of forklift trucks and material handling equipment. The role of the Safe User Group in the campaign is being characterised by its own slogan, UKMHA, setting the benchmark on site safety. The message for this year's National Forklift Safety Day is to be safe at all times. To promote the safe use of material handling equipment in the workplace. To always ensure a thorough risk assessment has been completed, because failure to implement proper training and supervision creates potential risk in the workplace. And always eliminate hazards in the workplace that could potentially cause injury. For more information on the 2023 campaign and all those preceding it, visit the National Forklift Safety Day website. And remember, make every day National Forklift Safety Day.
Workplaces, such as warehouses and factories, are inherently dangerous environments, with many potential hazards, including moving machinery such as forklift trucks and other material handling equipment. Certain hazards are easier to identify than others, and many can be avoided through simple common sense. For example, clearing away rubbish or cleaning up spillages from a warehouse floor. Wearing the correct PPE, both for personal protection and to make yourself visible to others, is also important, as is sticking to clearly defined routes when walking through a factory and adhering to visible safety signage or audible warnings. They may be common sense, but without a proactive and engaged safety culture, they are at risk of only being obvious after a nasty event, when it is too late. This culture is also essential to mitigate more complex hazards associated with the storage and handling of loads. However, with the right amount of training and supervision, plus the adoption of comprehensive risk assessments, the risks can be avoided and normal work routines completed safely and efficiently. For this year's campaign, our aim is to highlight correct workplace protocols for the safe operation of material handling equipment, such as forklift trucks, so as to ensure compliance with current requirements. At last year's National Safety Convention, the UKMHA launched its Safe Working Area Charter. The document has been written by the UKMHA in conjunction with members who engage in on-site maintenance and repair of material handling and plant equipment for their customers. The document, whilst not legally binding, outlines the key steps companies should take to create a safe working area for visiting technicians. The Charter was well received on its launch, and we've been encouraged by the number of people pledging their support. If you've not yet signed up to the Charter, then I encourage you to do so. It's available for free download from the UKMHA website and is part of the media kit for this year's National Forklift Safety Day campaign. By working together in this way, we will improve standards, ensure legal compliance, and reduce injuries and ill health amongst employees. Here at the UKMHA, we work closely with many regulatory bodies, including the Health and Safety Executive. The following recent HSE prosecution underlies why following correct procedures whilst using MHE in the workplace is so important. The prosecution followed the death of a worker who was using a forklift to load a lorry. The victim was fatally injured when the lorry he was loading was moved by its driver, pulling the forklift truck over and trapping him underneath. This is a classic example of what is termed a drive-away incident. The HSE investigation found the risk assessment used by the forklift operator's employer had failed to consider the possibility of lorries moving whilst they're being loaded. The HSE also found that the systems of work provided for ensuring that vehicles were not moved during loading activities were inadequate. Not only did the accident result in a person losing their life, but the penalties for the company concerned were severe. It was fined £600,000 for breaching Section 2.1 of the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974 and ordered to pay in excess of £20,000 in costs. The inspector in the case concluded the incident could have been avoided by implementing the correct control measures and safe working practices. I echo this view. Drive-away is regularly reported as a cause of serious injury or fatality, and sites frequently have no effective controls to prevent it. Simply by undertaking a thorough risk assessment and ensuring all parties adhere to its conclusions, a different outcome could have been achieved. HSE guidance on avoiding drive-away accidents stipulates that drivers should never leave a vehicle unattended without first ensuring the vehicle and its trailer are securely braked, the engine has been switched off and the ignition key removed. Where appropriate, trailer legs should have been lowered to the ground. Drivers and site operators should ensure that coupling and uncoupling areas are well lit with firm and level surfaces. Drivers should be properly trained and have their work monitored by site operators to ensure they follow a safe system of work, with the vehicle and its trailer secure when not in use. Information should be provided on the nature of the load and how it should be properly loaded, secured and unloaded. This information should accompany the load and be available to those involved in the loading, transportation and unloading activities. The work should take place on level ground and be segregated from other work areas. The loading, unloading area should be clear of overhead cables, pipes or other obstructions and be protected from bad weather where possible. In addition, the loading and unloading area should be clear of traffic and people. Neither the lorry driver nor any other person should be on the trailer bed or near to the forklift whilst it is active. Throughout loading and unloading, the site operator should ensure there is a safe place where drivers can wait while the work is completed. Legally, site operators are required to provide visitors with access to welfare facilities. To prevent drive-away risks, site operators must ensure all measures are taken to prevent vehicles from being driven off whilst the work is taking place. Steps to ensure this can include traffic lights on loading bays, vehicle or trailer restraints, and ensuring keys are kept in a secure place. Every workplace is different and is likely to present different hazards and risks. However, a well-designed and maintained site with suitable segregation of vehicles from people will make workplace transport accidents less likely. Therefore, we encourage everyone operating any site where material handling equipment is used to heed this advice and to take every step necessary to reduce the likelihood of accidents. To help with the avoidance of other hazards, the UKMHA is making available a series of fact sheets for this year's campaign. The documents, which can be downloaded from the National Forklift Safety Day website, outline some of the common hazards that can be found in the workplace and the steps that can be taken to avoid them. Fact Sheet 13 identifies procedures for the safe storage of liquid petroleum gas. Fact Sheet 24 covers the supervision of forklift truck operations. And it's important to note that this is a legal requirement for employers to adequately supervise anyone operating a forklift truck. Fact Sheet 26 explains the limitations on towing with a forklift truck. Fact sheet 27 provides advice on pallets. And finally, fact sheet 28 outlines the pre-use checks a forklift truck operator should complete before starting their work cycle. By simply adopting the advice contained within these documents, companies and their employees will be taking great strides to ensure their safety and the safety of their work environments. A more comprehensive set of fact sheets, technical bulletins and guidance notes is available to our Safe User Group members, and further details are available on our website. Since its inception, National Forklift Safety Day has shone a spotlight on many important matters. The inaugural campaign encouraged forklift truck operators to utilise the operator restraint provided when using their truck, and highlighted the duty of supervisors to ensure this was always done. We believe awareness of the importance of wearing seatbelts has increased since the campaign, and that it is now accepted practice. Likewise, the second National Forklift Safety Day campaign in 2020 focused on the need to segregate people and material handling equipment, with physical barriers considered the best way of ensuring this. This guidance remains the benchmark for the industry, and again, evidence suggests that there is a greater awareness of the need to have proper protections in place. If the advice outlined today is heeded and adopted, then it will go a long way towards making the workplace a safer environment for all. Thank you. And for any further advice, please contact either myself or one of my UKMHA colleagues, and we will endeavour to help you as much as we can. We now have another video for you, after which our panel of experts will debate some of the key topics included in this year's National Forklift Safety Day campaign.
My name's Scott McGrady. I'm the Group Head of Health, Safety, Environment and Quality for the Briggs Equipment Group. Aside from my role at Briggs Equipment, I'm also the Chair of the UK Materials Handling Association's Safety Working Group. The Safe Working Group was established back in 2015. It's basically where a group of senior health and safety professionals from throughout the industry have come together to work collaboratively on challenges we face within our industry. In terms of what the UKMHA Safe Working Group have been working on specifically, in the last number of years we've worked hard to produce some industry-wide guidance. We've also been working hard to produce some industry-wide safety alerts for any kind of incidents that occur. And for the last 3 years now, we've been benchmarking sort of KPIs and analysing data to do with incidents that have occurred within our industry. Recently, we've been working quite collaboratively with the Environment Agency as well on how our industry deals with waste. One of the unique features about our industry is that a large portion of our employees, typically our mobile field service engineers, they spend most of their time on customers' premises. So that's sites that we are not in control of. Most customers have fantastic sites, but sometimes we can run into challenges where the engineer might not be afforded what we feel is a safe working area. One of the things that we encourage throughout our engineering workforces is that if they're ever in a situation where they feel uncomfortable or they don't feel that the area that they've been given to work in is safe, that they flag that up to the customer and also flag it up to us as an employer. Now, most rental contracts for equipment will stipulate that the engineer needs to be given a safe working area, but it's not always exactly clear what that means. So that led us to create the Safe Working Area Charter. And I think what the Charter gives us is, it gives us guidance as to what we expect as an industry and what we require as a safe working area. Interestingly, from our analysis of accidents that have occurred within our industry involving our employees, what we found was roughly a third of the accidents that occur are actually not due to their job maintaining or repairing equipment. they actually occur down to external factors that they encounter on customers' sites. So for us, it was very important for us to try and contextualise, what exactly is a safe working area, or what an engineer requires from a safe working area. A lot of it's very simplistic stuff, things like having enough space to operate safely in, being segregated from customers' processes or from site traffic. Unfortunately, we've had incidents in the past within the industry where things like that have impacted the engineer, and it can always obviously be quite dangerous. Other things, making sure that they're not exposed to harmful dusts, fumes, chemicals, things like that. Predominantly on the welfare side of things, trying ideally to make sure that we're undercover and away from the elements. And even just simple things like access to sort of washroom facilities and first aid and things like that. As I say, we can't always take these things for granted, and we appreciate that, it's not always achievable in some circumstances, but we need to kind of work collaboratively together with customers, and I think the Charter gives us a good outline of what we expect. We hope it provides a good reference point for what our industry recognises are the needs and requirements of a safe working area for mobile field service engineers. One of the things we always encourage with mobile field service engineers within our industry is that they assess the work area before they start. It's very crucial, and we really encourage them to take action wherever they can to reduce risk or to remove hazards, but equally to highlight anything that they are not comfortable with or they don't feel safe. We encourage them to highlight it directly to the customer, but equally to us as the employer as well. We recognise, the world isn't perfect, and sometimes we can encounter things that are challenging, but we hope the Charter gives us a good aid to work together with customers collaboratively to try and achieve what we require from a safe working area. The Safe Working Area Charter is freely available to everyone. You can access it on the UKMHA's website. It is available in the best practice advice area.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today for what promises to be an engaging discussion on the theme of safety in the workplace. But before we begin, let me first introduce our panel of experts. Firstly, we are pleased to welcome Gavin Hutchinson, who is the Senior Technical Services Manager for RTITB. Gavin, it's nice to have you here today.
It's my pleasure, thank you.
Next, we have Steve Simmons-Jacobs. Steve is a former Principal Specialist Mechanical Engineering Inspector for the Health and Safety Executive in the south of England. Steve, welcome.
A pleasure to be here.
Next, we have Andy Cartwright. Andy is the Technical Manager for Training Specialist Mentor Training. Andy, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Good to be here.
Completing our panel today is the man you have just heard outline the principal themes of this year's National Forklift Safety Day, David Goss. Welcome, everyone. My first question goes to David. Thank you for outlining the themes of this year's National Forklift Safety Day. If I could get you to expand just a little further why this year's theme is so important.
Thank you, Clarissa. So in previous years, we focused on individual aspects of safety around material handling equipment. But we've built up over these years a vast library of information, all of which is applicable. And it's really important that sites don't just focus on individual aspects, but also see the bigger picture. So this year, we wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the library and archive of material that's available to our Safe User Group members so that they can make sure that their sites are safe.
Turning to Steve now, what would you say to someone that isn't a managing director themselves, but sees that they don't have the guidance that they should in their workplace? What do you think they should do to help improve their workplace safety?
Well, I think that the company itself needs to have the conditions there so that people are not afraid to speak up. If they see something's wrong with something mechanical, or something wrong with the site, or something's wrong with the system, they should be able to go to their immediate manager, or maybe a manager further up the chain, and say, "This is a problem. Can we do something about it?" And the company should then take it on board as a problem and deal with it. And the worst thing is if, say, somebody damages some equipment, and they're usually aghast and don't want to let on that they've damaged it, and they leave it for somebody else to find, which could have devastating results. So again, it's down to the company to be able to say to all their employees, "If you've had an accident, let us know. We'll deal with it. We won't jump on you." I think that's important too.
I think Steve's making a really good point that what's important in a company is a safety culture. Everybody in the company has a duty to go forward and say if there's been problems, to identify what those problems are. Everybody can make their company safer by looking around and seeing whether they think everything's safe. Things change on a day-to-day basis. Every day before you start work, you should have a look round and make sure that everything's safe. And the company should have a culture which welcomes you bringing forward problems. All too often, it's a tick-box exercise until such time as people have had a problem. What we're trying to do is make sure people look at their company before they've had the problem, before they've had the incident and they've had a visit from an HSE inspector, and before somebody's life has been changed by a serious injury. So it's that safety culture which we're looking to promote.
I suppose sometimes that safety culture starts with an open door policy with your management, is that correct?
Absolutely. It's important that everybody in the company feels involved. Everybody from the top to the bottom has to have a way of raising an issue and being confident that their voice is being heard.
Thank you. Gavin, could you tell us why operator training is so important to companies using material handling equipment?
Firstly, the employers have the legal obligation to ensure that any operators of any piece of MHE machinery within their workplace have received appropriate and adequate training to ensure they are following their regulations for our sector and our industry. But I think it's just as important they have a moral obligation as well to ensure operators are given the correct training, given the correct tools to be able to conduct their tasks and their duties on a daily basis. The operator then is able to conduct their daily tasks to a high standard, which the employers themselves will reap the rewards with that and will see a return within their investment as well, because that operator will go a long way to minimising potential accidents, incidents and fatalities, and also then look at financial losses as well. So it could be, for example, damaged goods. So they can work a long way with the employer to that as well.
Turning to Andy now. Andy, everyone here today is committed to the goal of reducing the risk of workplace accidents and personal injuries. I know Mental Training has recently launched a new forklift awareness course, which is designed to protect everyone working around forklift trucks, including those most at risk of injury, workers on foot. But surely operator training is also key to this.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Chris. And just picking up on some of the points that sort of everybody else has sort of already raised, I think it's when we talk about operator training, we're talking, if you can imagine, you've got a building and you need the foundations of that building. So, if you look at a children's game that uses wooden blocks, they sort of pull away all of those blocks, and if the blocks aren't there, the building blocks, it can actually come down. So operator training is it's a massive key element, but it can't be the only thing that a company has. So we need to have a look at other things. So we need to have a look at supervisor and manager training, because if you've got an operator there, but the supervisor and manager don't have an understanding of how that individual should be operating the truck, who's to correct the operator on what they do? So, the HSE, fantastic, and Gavin's already mentioned it, produced an ACOP, the Approved Code of Practice, L117, and there's specific sort of regulations in there that relate to supervisor and manager training and what their responsibilities should be. So that's an important thing. Then it's also about the processes. How should the forklifts be used on site? Are there certain areas where forklifts should go? Should there be designated segregation areas between the forklifts and pedestrians and other vehicles? So, we can reduce minimal sort of interaction between them, or if there is going to be interaction, what are the policies, what are the processes that we're actually putting in place to prevent that? So it's just one sort of key element when we sort of look at the whole thing. So it's, like I say, it's building blocks, and it's trying to find a holistic process that is sort of protecting everybody that is involved and working with sort of forklifts in the work area.
David, how does the UKMHA support that then, with the with each company being different? How do you apply your guidance notes or any support that UKMHA provide to each different one of their members?
So in the Safe User Group, we've got a library of case studies and fact sheets and guidance notes and technical bulletins, all of which provide specific examples of things that have happened and things that people have done. But the panel's absolutely right. Every case is different. Every case needs to be looked at individually. And events like our safety convention give the opportunity for people to come together and discuss these things, discuss their own applications. And we, UKMHA, are at the end of the phone. You can always get in touch with us, and we'll do our best to support you. We can't guarantee that we can answer every question. Every site's different. And in the end, as Steve made the point at the beginning, it's the duty holder of the site that's responsible. And that's one of the reasons why using somebody like an accredited training provider is important, because it is the duty holder that's responsible. And the only way that you can be confident that the training's been provided to an appropriate level and that everything else has been done appropriately is if you're using people, if you're interacting with people, that you can have confidence, know what they're talking about.
I know in safety the word competent comes up quite a lot, doesn't it? And to have somebody that is truly competent, I know you have to have experience, but you also need the training, don't you, and the knowledge.
And competence means different things. So somebody can be competent to do one thing, but that doesn't mean they're competent to do everything else. So a competent person to carry out a thorough examination is a very specific type of competent person. They wouldn't be a competent person to carry out training or a competent person to do a risk assessment on whether a site's safe. So by getting in touch with people like us, you can get all of the information and get the contacts for the various things that you need. One of the things that I found really interesting about the safety convention is safety doesn't have to be a frightening or a boring topic. If you look at some of the people that have spoken in previous events, they found fun ways to engage the workforce to make safety more interesting. And I think that's a really positive message. If you want to have a safety culture, people have to want to get involved in safety. And to make it a bit fun, that's not against the safety message. That's wholly supportive.
So, as you know, National Forklift Safety Day, this year's theme is Safe Sites, Save Lives. Now, how would you define a safe site? Andy, would you care to expand for us?
Yeah, I think it's a really, really sort of interesting sort of topic, and a really good area to define what a safe site is, and again it is all about saving lives and preventing sort of injury to people using material handling equipment, and it's quite interesting. You go to a number of sites and there's boards outside that said we've had no accidents in 110 days or something, but there's no actual definition to what that accident is. Is it a paper cut, is it a serious accident, is it a ridor or something like that? And without any sort of context behind it, or without any sort of depth or sort of programme like the UKMHA sort of focus this year, I think it leaves it probably a little bit open to question. So it's actually trying to define what is a safe site. And I think probably Steve, with his HSE experience, could probably give us some real good examples what sort of safe sites he's found and what he hasn't probably found out there.
Well, I think more likely I can tell you what will be an unsafe site. I recently had to be an expert witness on one particular large shed in which they had a dual carriageway running around the inside, and on the dual carriageway were tugs towing trailers moving at supposedly at 5 miles an hour, but they didn't have any speedometers, so that we have no idea how the drivers knew what speed they were doing. But they had a 4-foot wide verge in the middle, which was just a painted yellow verge. And because there were not sufficient walkways for the workers, they used this supposed walkway in between the two lots of tugs coming towards them, with the inevitable that somebody eventually got seriously hurt, luckily not fatally. And the management had no idea. They just did not know what they should be doing, what was going on. They thought that they'd covered everything. And of course, their risk assessments were, pretty rudimentary, to say the best. I would have other words, but, this is a family show. That is an example of a very poor site. Having pedestrians and moving vehicles does not work.
No. And I suppose it emphasises the point, doesn't it, that safety is something you have to keep going back to. It's not something that you do once. It's not that one that you check off the box. It's something that you have to keep going back to. And I suppose that's really why we have National Forklift Safety Day every year, because it just highlights the importance that it's something that you have to keep.
Absolutely. All equipment deteriorates and has to be maintained. But every time you do something different in a site, you need to re-maintain that site in order to check that you have a safe site.
Mm. I mean, our slogan for National Forklift Safety Day is, make every day National Forklift Safety Day. The idea that it's not just one day, it's the entire year. We're obviously highlighting the safe site this year, but you have to keep going back, keep looking at your systems, of your equipment, of your workplace.
Mm. And I think, sorry if it's but with what Steve was saying there with regards to the deterioration of the equipment, I think it can also be said for the employees and the operators within that. So it could be through knowledge, the ability, and they do get into a routine of doing the same task over and over again, where complacency can certainly creep in as well. So I think it's looking at it from not just for the equipment, the infrastructure, it's that holistic approach again of looking at every variable within the workplace. So certainly with the operators, with the training, I think a lot of companies go down the route of receiving the certificate of basic training. They may then hopefully implement specific familiarisation training as well, and think, well, because we've covered these 3 elements of training in accordance with the L117, which Andy alluded to before, that we've done our bit now and they're good to go. Whereas a safe site is not just resting on your laurels at that point, is then implementing a monitoring procedure of the operators. So I think Andy talked about before about the managers and supervisors being also aware of what's going on in regards to good practice, bad practice. With that monitoring and that performance review on an ongoing basis, that would be a safe site, because they're not just thinking, right, we've done what we need to do as a minimum. It's then going above and beyond, applying that monitoring process. And it could be unannounced, of the manager or supervisor walking around the site, maybe spending an hour or so with each operator, just unannounced and watching, and then just pulling them to one side. And again, we talked about before, it doesn't need to be a bad thing. You want that engagement. You want to be able to talk to the operator and say, look, this is wrong, but it may be through complacency. So don't worry, we're here to support you. We want to help you to improve this side of your operation. So I think that would go a long way to a safe site as well. It's always evolving, and we have to move with it as well.
When we look at accident investigations, it's really surprising how many sites were complacent about something. Sometimes it's segregation of people from trucks, sometimes it's the way that they store loads, but there's often something which they were kind of aware it wasn't really right for a long time. And then one day something worse happened and somebody got killed by it. And at that point, they come and seek help. At that point, it's become, for somebody, life-changing or life-ending, a very expensive problem. Often addressing these things is quite expensive. Addressing segregation of people from workplace vehicles can be very challenging, but it's far more challenging once you've had the serious accident. The time to address it is before that. All of those sites thought they were safe. They'd got the board outside that said, we've got 100 days accident-free. They thought they were safe, but they weren't really looking at their site. If they'd really looked, they would have thought, we've got away with this. What they need to do is address it now. That's the purpose of National Forklift Safety Day, is to say, go and look at your forklift operations, put it right before it becomes a problem. A lot of people come to us and ask for advice after they've had the problem. To be honest, they already know that they've got a problem and what to do about it then. If you look now, you'll find the solution before you've had the accident, before you get a visit from HSE.
And if I can add one thing, we talked about the maintenance of machinery and maintenance of the site, but one area that people forget needs a lot of maintenance is the racking that you have in your warehouse, which you are putting stuff on top, right up there at the top, and it will deteriorate. Everything deteriorates over age, especially equipment like that being used in that way.
It's not only the racking. People also, they do their risk assessments assuming that the load is going to be in good condition. But frequently you come across a damaged load and people don't have a plan for how to deal with it. And that should be an essential part of the risk assessment. If somebody comes across a damaged load, they should be stopping and just thinking, is it safe to do what I'm about to do with this load? Or is it going to fall over and hurt somebody? Those sorts of actions are really important. And management's got a role here. It's not just the operator's responsibility. Management should be people who are brave enough to come forward and say, we've got a problem.
It's also about, when we talk about forklift trucks, I think people just tend to sort of sit in an operation. They tend to look at the reach trucks, the counterbalance trucks, the V&As, the big pieces of equipment are moving. But then over in the corner, someone's using a pedestrian pallet truck, a low-level order picker, a hand pallet truck. They're still forklifts. They can still injure people. You can still have accidents on them, and people can still get seriously hurt. And it's amazing when you look at, some companies, they'll put all these policies in place. They'll make sure all the operators are trained, and they just concentrate on these big machines that are moving around and moving pallets. And somebody's over in the corner, still moving equal size loads, but because they're pumping it up, it's just, well, this goes up, this goes down, and that's it. And they consider them to be trained, but they should be given, as equal attention as everything else. So when we talk about forklift safety, it's just not the big machines. It's across the whole range. I think would be a best way of sort of summing it up when we're talking about forklift safety.
A good example of that, just earlier this week, I had an inquiry from a user who had a manual pallet truck rated to 2.5 tons. What loads could he put on it? And he can lift 2.5 tons on it, but can an operator really pull 2.5 tons across a floor? I don't think so.
Yeah, and then you come into other aspects where you start looking at sort of manual handling training as well, don't you? So then it throws a whole other sort of spectrum and sort of sphere into the training. Absolutely.
And actually, if I go back to what David was talking about, I think it again links to the idea of having the need to have a good safety culture. That you're not just looking at the accidents that have happened, but you're looking at the accidents that haven't, the accidents that nearly happened, and how you can prevent it from turning into a fatality or a serious injury or an accident at all. Would you?
No, I always say to people when I visited one of their offices, I'm sorry, you don't want to see me again. Bye-bye.
And that's where I think it's having an open culture. I think David alluded to it earlier. if somebody has an accident or they have an incident, you want to have that culture where somebody doesn't feel scared of coming forward. They actually want to come forward and say, and put their hand up and say, yeah, that was me that reversed into it. That was me that caught that racking. And by having that, that allows the business then to prosper, to become a safer site, because they can look at what's happened. Was there a problem in the process? But then it's going back and having a look at that investigation and doing a continual improvement. Was it a fault with the training? Was it a fault with the supervision or management? Or, what was the cause or the root, not sticking a sticky plaster on it, going back to the root cause and finding out what the root cause was and putting elements in place so that doesn't happen again, or anything worse doesn't happen again, which, could involve an individual or a person.
And I mean, we're talking a lot about having a safe site because, we want to prevent injury, we want to prevent accidents, for those that are responsible in the company having the HSE knocking on their door. But actually, I think if we go back to what Gavin was saying at the beginning about actually it's the moral obligation of the company to make sure that their employees are safe. And it also helps with attracting new employees, doesn't it, to have a safe site? Because why would you want to work at anywhere that isn't safe or didn't protect you?
Absolutely, but it's also commercial sense. A well-trained employee is a more productive employee. We've talked a bit about the costs of accidents, and those are very important. But you want your employees to be as productive as possible. And if they haven't been correctly trained, if they haven't had the basic training and the familiarisation training and the on-the-job training, then they won't be being as productive as they can be. They won't be able to understand how to react when something goes out of the normal, but you also won't be achieving the full potential of your investment. So all round, it makes sense to do this job properly.
Mm.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's a huge investment that sort of companies lay out in terms of forklifts, and like Gavin was saying, there's a huge investment that sort of companies sort of put into operator training, supervisor training and manager training. And if that's not being sort of carried out correctly and there's an accident, you're not paying for a truck to be sat in a repair bay for 3 weeks of the year. That truck's bought, so it's actually productive and it's actually doing the job. So by having that accident or incident and not making it work properly, it's non-productive, and it doesn't make commercial sense.
I mean, David, how would the Safe User Group apply to this? I know that you have packages for the Safe User Group of how to support end users of material handling equipment. But does this not link into our whole theme of today?
Yeah, so the Safe User Group, there's a wealth of information available there with case studies showing what other people's experiences were. But I think the thing that we've started off the conversation with was every site's different, every application's different. So there's a lot you can learn from other people. You don't want to be repeating their mistakes. You want to learn from them. But you also need to look at your site, your operation specifically, and make sure that those are safe and efficient. Make sure you've got the right equipment with the right people correctly trained to use it, and you've got an open door safety culture where everybody feels they're able to contribute to the team effort.
Well, thank you all for being part of the panel discussion today. It's been very informative and quite, really quite interesting. And thank you for watching. If you want to know more about National Forklift Safety Day, please visit the website. There is the media kit available there. And please remember that it's not just National Forklift Safety Day today, but it endures throughout the whole year. And that you are to make every day National Forklift Safety Day.